Every year after retirement, I play Santa for a little extra income, but mostly because I love it. Meeting kids, taking pictures, listening to their wishes. It brings me so much joy. After a long, tiring day in a fancy neighborhood, I finished my work, eager to head home since I hadn't eaten all day. As I drove through a nearby neighborhood, something made me slam on my brakes. There, on the side of the road, was a little boy selling toys. I got out of the car, walked up to him, and said, "Merry Christmas, son!" He looked up, but there was no joy, just a hollow sadness in his eyes. I asked what was wrong, and before he could answer, an old frail woman came out of the house. She saw me and asked, "Santa, is everything okay?" I gently asked her why the boy was sitting out in the cold with his old toys. She sighed and told me his story. His mother had died the day he was born, and his father, who raised him with so much love for the past 10 years, had recently died in an accident. Now it was just him and his grandma alone. The boy didn't cry. His tears seemed to have dried up long ago. His face was expressionless, as if the weight of the world had crushed all emotion out of him. I asked him why he was selling his toys. His grandma explained that he was trying to save enough money to buy a gravestone for his dad. My heart shattered. As Santa, I'm supposed to be full of cheer, but I could barely hold back my tears. I hugged the boy, feeling his small frame tremble against me. I asked him how much the gravestone would cost. Without a second thought, I gave him every cent I had earned that day from the families I'd made smile. But even as I handed him the money, his face didn't light up. He just said quietly, "Thank you, Santa." He asked if I wanted him to put the toys in the trunk or the back seat. I didn't have the heart to say no, so we gently loaded all his old worn-out toys into the back seat. He looked up at me with those empty eyes one last time before I drove away. On the ride home, I couldn't stop glancing at those toys through the rearview mirror. When I got home, I told Mrs. Claus everything. She listened quietly, then said, "Let's go back." I asked her where we were going. She smiled softly and said, "To the mall." We bought a car full of brand new toys, and though it was late, we headed back to the boy's house. It was dark when we arrived, and I rang the bell, and the boy opened his door with a small, tired smile. "Thank you, Santa," he said. "I finally bought the gravestone for my dad." Mrs. Claus and I hugged him tightly. Then we handed over the toys and filled their fridge with a month's worth of groceries. His grandma was speechless, her eyes glistening with gratitude. The boy hugged me once more, and this time it felt different. It was the kind of hug that doesn't need words, the kind that fills a space you don't even know was empty. I'll never forget that moment. It was a gift I could never explain.